just me, the underconfident human, in the mood for a little ASMR? Maybe? What about some unboxing? So finally, my order from Germany has arrived all the way here to the US. I ordered Clan of Xymox's new album, Exodus, and over the years, some of the music I've collected from the Clan of Xymox, for whatever reason, I have the desire to do this, purposely ordered from the German store Fan Total instead of the US Metropolis Records pressing a release of CDs. I try to get the Trisol records. I don't know why I like to do that. I suppose it's because that is where Germany is where Ronnie Moorings himself lives. But anyways, so as you can see, I brought my tub of gear because first we're going to unwrap this vinyl and the CD of the new album Exodus, and then I'm going to clean it because, as I've tried to tell folks in the past, if you have watched my channel, if you actually paid attention to any of my record cleaning videos, I've preached over and over again that records, brand new records, are not exactly clean. Record pressing houses are not, surgical clean environments. Therefore, there's potential for a lot of dirt and stuff that you can't see with your eye in the grooves of a brand new record because they're pressed in mass production. I prefer strongly to clean my records before dropping a needle on them. On a brand new vinyl, it needs to be clean. So we'll get through that, and in my usual style, I'll of course take some time to put the record itself in a new sleeve, triple lined poly sleeve. Do the whole thing. So without further ado, let's begin. Look at that. As you can see, it's Trisol Records, limited to 500 copies. I can't be sure of how true that really is, and if it's only limited to 500 for Trisol and then 500 for Metropolis or what, I don't know. But make some space there. Now, despite being released online already on the digital stores and all that stuff, the only song I've heard from this is Save Our Souls. I purposely have dodged and avoided listening to any of this new music online yet because I like the surprise. I like the experience of a first time listen, and I don't want to do that digitally. Again, I am very weird about that. And I have to say that, I've talked a lot in the past about Clan of Xymox and how very, very much they mean to me, how Ronnie Moorings' music has kind of contributed to or helped save my life a bit, which I hate to sound cliche and corny, but I make no secret. I have no embarrassment in admitting that I have been through I have days sometimes where the darkness is a little much. I get, I've had those feelings of wishing my life would just kind of end and go back and forth with that. Music has been something that has carried me through, and I think over all of my years since obsessing with music as a child, it's definitely comes down as a full-grown man speaking here and now to Clan of Xymox and perhaps Typo Negative, because some of that music carried me through darker times too, gave me something to kind of latch on to when I was really ready to just be done. But anyways, I love Ronnie Moorings with my heart very much and appreciate the man. So naturally, getting a new album is, brand new music is very exciting. Also, we have the CD release as well. This, more other than collecting it, but to be able to rip it to my, rip it to my laptop and then sync it to my phone, because I like to, again, own my music. I don't stream my music ever. Pretty rarely anyway. Trisol Music Group, GmbH, trisol.de, made in EU. It's very exciting for me. I don't know why I enjoy ordering Xymox's music from the German manufacturer, the German distributor, instead of our American distributor, Metropolis, but it's just what I like to do. It's worth the wait to me, because it takes a long time to get shipped here. So, without further ado, what do you say we take a look at these in detail? And let's roll. Alright guys, let's start with this. I'm pretty certain that, as usual, it was Ronnie's wife that put together the artwork. Limited to 500 copies. I haven't missed out on these in a long time, because generally, because I follow the Clan of Xymox Instagram, I tend to see the pre-orders as soon as they're available and pre-order anything I can get, like when I got the vinyl bundle and Limbo and lots of other things. So, Trisol, Side A, Save Our Souls, Fear for a World at War, The Afterglow, I Can See Miles Across, We Are Who We Are. Side B, Blood of Christ, Exodus, Arcanus, I Always Feel the Same, and number 10, Once Upon a Time. Let's take a look. this is interesting to me because generally the artwork in a Clan of Xymox album is usually kind of dark or cryptic or I don't know. This is definitely very different than the usual. That's for sure. We have a bunch of flowers. Like most Xymox releases, we have the lyric sheets here. This thing's heavy. I mean, that's like really heavy. Holy smokes. I take it they didn't spare any expense this time with the quality of the vinyl. Man, that's really heavy. There's a speck on there we're going to clean off here shortly. Seems to be somewhat, you can't see it from the camera angle here, but somewhat translucent. You can see through it a bit. Cloudy, but man, this thing's heavy. I love that. Super heavy. Wow. Okay. So anyway, there we have it. And remember, fingers underneath, resting on the label. That way you don't touch the vinyl. We're going to take care of this soon. Next step. Trisol. decades after I was dead, of course, but paper, after it ages long enough, tends to kind of leak the acid that was part of the manufacturing process, and it will damage a record. That's why the sleeves of records turn yellow and they develop that smell and start to get spots on them. It's because of the acid that's slowly, over long bits of time, come from paper. These, on the other hand, do not degrade in that manner. This material does not seep any sort of acid. It doesn't degrade the way that paper does. Hence the reason for the archival quality claim. These sleeves, maybe not this particular brand, even though these are my favorite over the years. Out of all of them I've ever tried and messed with, I ended up throwing some of them away over the years and replacing them with these, because I think these are a much better quality than like vinyl style and some of the other companies that make these. But anyways, it's nice and heavy, and because of the wax paper sheet in there, it gives it a little stability when you're handling it, as opposed to if it wasn't there, it'd be even more floppy. And then it does not scratch the surface of the vinyl, which is key, and the fact that it kind of detracts static, that's very important. Static on vinyl is very annoying and unfortunate. So, simple and effective way to maintain a record. to do. I've explained in the past this carbon fiber brush. The original idea for this type of brush is that you lay it down gently on the record while it's spinning on the turntable to kind of wipe off, give a quick dusting. Well, when I first got this thing, I tried it out on a record I didn't really give a damn about, and it was just a thrift store record. I usually use those for trying out things. Well, I used to. I haven't actually done that in a long time because I've had the same record cleaning process and the same choice of tools for a long time. But anyways, when I had bought this and tried it out, I was very gentle. I let it sit as the record was spinning, barely on the surface, exactly as the instructions said to. And I saw, when I looked at angles of the record in the light, it had made scratches on the surface. And that's when I decided that I will never do the carbon fiber brush thing. And maybe it's not a good brush. Maybe I need to try a different one, right? I refuse. I will never, ever put a carbon fiber brush onto my records again. So I elected to keep this guy here for this purpose. It's just kind of get particles or any surface stuff off my mat. So it works just fine for that. On my mat there used to be one of these white kind of dots here, only bigger, that was theoretically for cleaning compact discs, but I have never cleaned a CD that way in my life. And the way it stuck up was like the edge of the record just sits behind it, which is fine, but when I'm trying to clean and move my brush around, I didn't want the edge of my brush to contact that thing and provide, resistance. So I just yanked it off of there. Now, there are two types of record maintenance that I do. One is kind of what I call a dry clean, a quick dusting, where I use this kind of velvet brush to get surface dust and dust out of the grooves in a quick manner. This was originally meant to be, this Audio-Technica device was meant to be a wet clean. You put drops of cleaner into the two holes there and then clean it, but I've never done that because I prefer the disc washer. I saw a video once, ages ago, of a guy that had, not an Audio-Technica, but had a velvet brush like this that he used to just dry clean his vinyl, just wipe the dust off. So I bought this specifically for dry cleaning only. Now, when I want to maintain my records, I don't clean a record, like thoroughly do a wet clean every time that I listen to my records. I don't do it often. Usually it's just a dry clean where I will lay it out on the turntable itself or on this mat, depending on what I got going on at the time, and give it a quick couple of runarounds to get some of the surface dust off, and throw the needle on and be on my way. And sometimes I don't even do that. After I've cleaned a record, I will usually leave it alone and listen to it a few times, several times, before I worry about dusting it again. If I see something, of course, I'll get it. But so, something you have to understand about maintaining and caring for records is that it is a very relaxing process if you are the type of person that enjoys caring for such things. But it is not something that you have to do every single time you handle your records. At least I don't believe so. And I've been collecting a long time. So every once in a while, quick couple of dry cleans and you're fine. However, if a record has gone long enough, if I start to notice it getting a little grimy for whatever reason, like dirt buildup, or accidentally touch it, which rarely doesn't happen, but I'd say the most prominent case for this is brand new vinyls like this. Or if I get a used vinyl at the record shop, that's another instance where I will do what I'm about to do now, which is a wet clean. A wet clean is the most thorough set of processes here for cleaning a record, getting it in pristine shape. It's kind of hard for me to reach out in front of me and do this, so I gotta pull it up to me, but remember, boys and girls, that you let a record kind of fall out of the sleeve into your hand and put your fingers on the label. Don't ever touch the grooves, because skin oils and stuff, you don't want that in there. Particular wet cleaning process, step one is all about this guy. I'm going to take this and brush it off real quick, just for good measure. And we start with a basic surface clean. Take the brush with the grooves. I assure you, it does not matter if you go clockwise or counterclockwise. Same as playing a record, not that you'd play it backwards, but it's all about keeping the needle in the grooves and maintaining the grooves. I am not convinced, and never have been, that the direction at which you go matters with regards to the grooves. What does matter, however, is that with any brush or with any handling, that you do not cross the grooves. In other words, if you notice, I ride with the grooves, lift up, and you can even come down a little bit at an angle when lifting up, like so. See how I'm starting to get this little line of specks here? I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's what this is pulling together. But never go across. Never wipe. See the way the grooves on this velvet are as well, but so you want to go this way. Never go up and down on the vinyl. Never rub across the grooves. That is very important. When you lift up, you kind of lift at a specific. It takes practice with the wrist to get that angle correct. I will give this another. You go in kind of even strokes and all. And when you come up off of it, you can you come down up at an angle, but don't. It's really hard to explain how to do that correctly. It does take practice. That's all I can say. Anyway, generally just a good 2 or 3 times around. If I'm in a hurry and want to just listen to my music, that's what I'll do. For sessions like this, where there's a little more in-depth, cleaning going on, well, I will take my time. Okay, next comes the wet clean part. RCA disc washer. This is an old-fashioned way of doing things. I know they make really expensive machines and all that to clean a record, but I'll tell you, this little guy I bought a few of these over the years, and there were different generations of these, and the design has pretty much remained the same. A heavy, solid wooden handle. The inside brush material, on the other hand, has been changed a couple times. The current generation is this black. It's this black material that almost reminds me of a terry towel or something. I don't like it. I believe this is what they call the third generation RCA dishwasher. It's a little older, but this material is not removable, and I trust it a lot. You can clean this thing, put it, we can run some dishwashing fluid sorry, I'm thinking dishwasher fluid for my bottle there, dish soap and water, and clean this thing out, let it dry, and then you have a perfectly good brush again. As for my record cleaning stuff, I think it's mostly just distilled water and alcohol, perhaps. I don't know what they actually use for surfactants or for cleaning. I really don't know. I've never wanted to make my own. I just use the RCA dishwasher cleaner. I love this stuff. When used properly, it does not leave any streaks or residue that I've ever noticed, and I've been buying refills of this crap for a long time. Once upon a time, it was called D3, so what D4 or D4 Plus are, what the changes are, I don't know, but it's what I like to use. I keep some of that. I can't find a dropper version of this stuff, so these refills come in a spray bottle, and I don't like that. The cleaning method where you put a rubber mat on the center to protect the label and just spray the record, that is not my style. I like it a little more carefully controlled and hands-on. So I transfer that fluid into a dropper to apply to my dishwasher. So here's how you do it. This is how you wet clean a record with the RCA dishwasher. Glass dropper inside there. So with a dropper full, go along the side with the arrow, and we apply the fluid to the edge. Some more. Okay. I don't know if you can see this or not, but the way these are, they have a very sharp, not sharp, but they have a pretty well-defined edge on each corner. And how you do the dishwasher is you apply fluid just to the corner area here, and I was a little liberal, so it spread out a bit, which is fine, but generally you stick to the one side here. The arrow is kind of the marker. When you clean with this is another method that if you wanted to learn how to use one of these, you almost have to buy some 50 cents or $1 thrift store records and practice, because it's very easy to damage or mess up your vinyl if you're not careful with this. So you hold the brush and you come down at an angle, being very careful to not rub that on the label. And you do not set it flat on the record. You kind of hold it at an angle. If you come in at too much of an angle, you're going to rub this right on the record. You're going to bump it. So you have to be careful. And again, the RCA dishwasher method is tried and true, but it does require some practice. Just like with the other brush, the dry brush, you do not need to push down super hard. You have to kind of push down a little bit to keep the brush straight from sliding away. But see, I'm sitting right here on the record and pulling around with the grooves. If I were to lean this thing forward like this, just a little more, that would bump right on the vinyl, and that is exactly what you don't want. But do you notice how I come at this very quickly and smoothly? I know exactly how to rock this thing back and forth, at what points to pivot, because of the fact. And I'm not trying to show off or whatever, I'm just saying I have been doing this an awful long time, and so I have these techniques down pat. I don't really know the best way to teach these techniques. I'm not a teacher. Anyway, generally, if I were going to wet clean one of my records that I've already done before, I'd only do that a couple of times, maybe 3 or 4 times, and be done. This one's brand new, so I'm giving it some extra attention. Now, with the dry side, we will dry the record, and it's basically the same process. Keep your thumb underneath, fingers on top, and you kind of have to just hold it at the correct angle. Making sure again to never drag it across the vinyl, crossways, and do not bump the because this is totally rounded, so you have to be very careful. As you can see, the way I do this too, this dot that was here to hold compact discs would catch and be on my way if I didn't remove it, so that was like the first thing I did when I unboxed this thing. I would never put a CD on this mat anyway. Okay. And there we have it. Now, before I do side B, I'm going to take it like this, hand on the outside, and kind of set it against my chest so that now on to side B. I'm going to take this to this just for good measure. So I'm going to kind of do that over here. And this old boy, we'll start with the dry clean first. Can any of you guess why you dry clean before doing a wet clean? Yep. You dry clean before doing a wet clean because any surface dirt and dust that this yanks up is all the better for you. If you go directly into a wet clean, what happens when dust and any kind of dirt particles kind of come together and get wet? You have mud, essentially. That is precisely what we don't want. Give this a quick one more go. Again, coming around, when you go to lift up, there is sort of a technique to, because you don't cross the vinyl, you're kind of coming up before that happens. It's just how it's done. Okay. once again, I'm going to apply just a little extra. Again, it might be possible, for example, to put some of the drops on the record itself before doing that, but I don't like that because, again, I have a preference for being in complete control of the liquid. Arrow out and stay away from the label. Carefully get that wet clean, get that corduroy-like material down in them grooves. Drag it kind of slowly. You can feel the weight of the wet material up there as it drags into the vinyl a bit. If that's the correct word, anyway. Let me go take one more over here. One more over here. And now for the dry side. I promise you, if you look up one of these, the RCA disc washer, if you look it up, learn how to use one of these, it's both a rewarding process and it is much less expensive to both purchase and maintain than these ridiculous machines that dunk the whole record in liquid and all this stuff. Like, I'm not a fan of that at all. I can only tell you I'm in my 40s and I've been collecting records since I was a teenager. I didn't start getting real serious about caring for them until somewhere in my mid-20s, I think. But when I started learning and experimenting with different tools and brands and all this stuff out there, and years past that, I tried a few here and there. But this process that you have witnessed today is my very honed, practiced process, and I think that this tool is just a wonderful way to maintain. All of my records are in really excellent condition for a reason. Anyway, that's enough of that. We are more than sufficiently dry at this point. I did a little extra there for the purpose of the ASMR video. Look how clean and pretty. Okay. Now that this has been cleaned, this staticky, thick paper that they put the record in, I don't like it. It was actually kind of hard to get the record out of that because of the static. So we go like this. You see how my hand is underneath of there? The edge of the vinyl resting in the fingertips, and the fingers can go anywhere up here without without touching the actual record. That's how you handle a record. There we have it. Nice and secured. Now, obviously there's artwork here, and I don't want to throw it away, so I often will just put this inside of this. I could put them inside the sleeve like this as well and keep them both that way, but that's just unnecessary. I never ever throw away artwork though. If my record comes with one of those just plain white sleeves, on the other hand, I will throw that away in place of this. There. The lip sticks out a little bit on the top. Doesn't bother me in the least. The record is down inside its original sleeve, nice and secure. In the case of this record, for the time being, since it's not a gatefold or anything, I'm going to leave the shrink wrap on. That's a common debate with vinyl enthusiasts, I think, is do you leave the plastic on or not? There are arguments for both sides of that. Cons and pros, you know what I mean? But so I do both. Just depends on the record. But for now, I'm going to leave this on. The last part of my formula is these bad boys. These thick, heavy sleeves. And mine, as you can see, has a lip up top. Bring this closer to me so I can see what I'm doing here. With the lip closed in on the inside, you have a completely sealed record. There we have it. Let's go back. There we have it. What do you think? Isn't that gorgeous? That record is surprisingly pretty that way. And yeah, I'm ready to go drop the needle on that now. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed the sights of the new album. If you like dark wave, gothic, industrial music of any sort, maybe consider giving it a listen. You might even want to buy it yourself. I'm very eager to hear what the rest of the album sounds like. Anyways, I'm out of here, and at the end of the video here, I'm about to close this with some video of something I did this last week. I had a vacation week, and I went to visit some family and all that, but while I was there, of course, you should know what I was doing, and if you don't, you're about to see it. Unfortunately, I will have to cut the sound because it's loud, and there's no way to make it quiet enough to be appropriate in an ASMR video. So there'll be a moment of silence as you watch, but anyways, this is me, whatever, the underconfident human, signing out. I'll see you.